Welcome to The Long Road. I'm your host, Chris Roberts. I'm here with
Andy Bohannon.
Yeah.
And Megan Spalding.
And this is Megan's first time on the TV show.
Yes.
And before we get to talk about other recreation type of stuff, that's what you're here for, is we're going to talk a couple of things. Veterans Day. Okay, Home Depot got involved this year, and what did they do?
Last spring, part of the city manager's message in the budget book, he came forward and asked for several different projects for the community to get involved. And Home Depot saw the advertisement or the article that the Keene Sentinel ran as a part of that and called the city manager up and said, hey, we want to be involved with this project at the recreation center to spruce up the war memorial. And that they did. They came in this summer, actually around Labor Day weekend, and brought a crew from all over New England. There was a total of about 24 different volunteers from different stores. And we jackhammered out the cement base of the fountain, put in loam, put in all the support material with nice garden beds now, and spruced up the benches around that fountain. So it's no longer a fountain. It's a nice garden bed, and we'll have perennials in it in the springtime. But certain times a year, the flowers will change as a result of the donation that they've been able to make with their contractors and everything. So it's just been a nice win-win situation for the city of Keene and Home Depot.
And that's been a tough one. I know you've talked about in the past. It's the war memorial, but sometimes people just use it as a catch basin, kids playing it, and it kind of wasn't really matching up to what a war memorial was supposed to be like.
That's correct. What happened was, over time, some cracks had come into the fountain, and it was going to be very costly repair to make that actual a reflection pool, if you will. And so we decided to say, hey, why don't we just put it in a garden where we're able to maintain it, change the flowers, and really spruce up the area. And that's exactly what we did. And I think all the veterans who have stopped by since the Home Depot crew has finished the work have all given it very high compliments. And so our next big event at the Recreation Center will be the Veterans Ceremony on November 11th at 11 a.m. So we're looking forward to that.
And I think a lot of people are. And I went by with Home Depot. They brought that stuff in, and it was kind of like 24 hours later, it was kind of like Pinocchio, and everyone else worked during overnight, and everything was done.
It was such a great thing to see. It was, like I said, there was about 24 different volunteers over the course of the 2 days, and store managers from 3 or 4 different locations were there, and they just poured their heart into it. And that's really a reflection of the employees that we necessarily don't see on a regular basis, but they're there to help and serve. And they do have a lot of veteran programs through their foundation, which is nice, and that's what we were able to tap into.
And I think the city manager was right on, because there's some other organizations that are willing to step up and help out at the rec center. But it seems it's easy to give money, but what some of these organizations are doing, they're actually giving their own personal time. And I think that has such a much more powerful effect than writing a check compared to coming out and actually doing something.
And I've seen that with the whole program that we're developing. I'm working with the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, and the Kiwanis Club, trying to find projects that are going to meet the needs of their service department in the city of Keene. And that's what they've all said. We don't mind giving a monetary donation, but we'd also like to be involved with get our hands dirty, if you will. And how can we do that? And what project's going to be right for our club and right for the city? And hopefully we're going to be able to find those right projects for them. And so far, so good. So we're going to be looking to make Keene a beautiful place.
Okay, and you have Megan here. She's in a newly created position?
She's actually in the programmer's position for the recreation department. Megan actually came to us several years ago as an intern at Keene State College, and then worked for us here and there, and went off into her professional world and came back when the program position opened up last March. And we're very happy to have her. She's been doing some great things, and wanted to share some of her new program initiatives with you.
Okay. What's some of your top-notch programs?
Some of my top-notch programs, this winter we're having something called the Winter Adventure Program, which is for the 6th and 8th graders, which will be taking place on Tuesdays. There's the 4 Tuesdays in January, and that'll be happening from 2:45 until 5:30, and will cost $60 per person. And it's very limited space, but during that time we'll be going ice skating, snowshoeing, skiing, and then snow tubing. We'll do the ice skating out at Wheelock Park, and then the other 3 will be going out to Granite Gorge.
So that
So
when you go for $60, you guys take care of the transportation and supervision. The parents have to ensure they're properly dressed.
correct. And if they need ski rentals, then that's an extra cost to the parent as well. But we'll make sure that the child's suited up out at Granite Gorge before they get onto the mountain.
And I'm going to distract right now when you talk about ice skating.
Yes.
One of the big things that we had last year, or the lack of big things, was little to no ice skating over at Wheelock Park.
We had Wheelock Park was actually a fairly good
Robin Hood
ice
Park,
surface.
yeah.
Robin Hood
Yeah,
Park,
Robin
on the
Park.
other hand, because it's a naturally fed area, we had a total of 3 safe skating days. So what happens with Robin Hood is we take our crews go out every day and test the ice at about 4:30 every morning just to make sure that it's at a safe level. How it did overnight, clean it, clear it, make sure all the snow is removed, and it's quite a time-involved process. And we try to maintain that and keep it in a safe manner as best we can. We will post on a very regular basis and test it on because it's very important. We don't want anybody going out there on unsafe ice. So if you see the signs up, please be aware that the ice is either safe or unsafe according to the signs that we'll put those up on a daily basis. And if you do have questions, you can always call the Recreation Center at 357-9829, or we might be able to post things on our Facebook page this year.
And before we go back to we were talking offline before about how some people, quote unquote, under good intentions, so they can get on the ice themselves, may have a negative effect on everyone else.
Yeah, we appreciate the public helping us in trying to clear the ice, but oftentimes it creates more of a burden for us because if they go out the night and it's the night before it's snowing and they want to remove some of that and it continues to snow overnight and some ridges have developed because of the moving of the snow or there's some slush and the temperature's changed, to get out on a plow and clean that off it's just there's going to be ripples now in the ice, and it doesn't make for a very smooth surface that we try to achieve, and so that becomes problematic. And we appreciate their assistance, but at times if we could get out there before they do, then they'll have a nice enjoyable surface to skate on.
Okay. And going back to Megan, you have another camp?
I do. This February break for the kids in
Oh, there it is.
for the kids in 3rd and 5th grade, we're doing something called the multi-sports camp, which Coach Jared, who has coached our youth basketball and youth soccer as well, he's had worked for us for a long time, will be teaching the basic skills of soccer, basketball, volleyball, disc golf, which is with frisbees, badminton, and there's many more sports like basketball and everything.
Badminton's not that easy to play.
It is not that easy. So that's going to run Monday through Friday from 9 to 12. That's right at the Recreation Center.
And so like in the past, instead of the kids just spending the week at the rec center, there's things they can be gainfully employed with.
Yeah, it's at another cost, which isn't. It's $65 a person, which isn't that bad for everything they're going to gain out of it.
Yeah.
This particular program, Chris, one of the nice things about it is Jared has been with us for quite a few years. Started as a freshman at Keene State College, where he was a physical education major. Got his degree. He's now in the elementary schools working, and wants to continue to aspire to be a physical education teacher. Just it's a matter of openings within the school district, which are hard. very few to come by, especially in the physical education world. But it allows him at the recreation center to continue on that education and development of his self, and we can offer great programs like this and receive a quality program and instruction.
And not just to single out one person, Jared really gets along with the kids. He has that kind of connection with the kids, and he would be a great PE teacher.
He would be, and he will be one day.
The unfortunate part is, as we cut budgets, we like to think that PE and art and all that music just doesn't matter, but they're critical parts of education.
Unfortunately, sometimes people see those as non-essential, and if they really want to develop the whole child, they are essential elements. I've seen so many different results from children learning through physical education or the arts or music, where it just propels them. It gives them self-confidence in an area that they may not have in the math classroom, and it shows them a whole nother world and something that they may key an interest in later in life.
And when you're talking about physical education not being quote-unquote non-essential, you have the Catch program, you have the, I don't know what you call it, the one where they cook their own meals, healthy meals, pots?
The Early Sprouts last year we did a pilot program with the Early Sprouts program at Keene State College, hosting some of our within our Catch activity, and we've continued that on this year. We've modified it a little bit. Megan's brought on some additional staff, but right now our program's full, and the kids engage in 30 minutes of physical activity. And Megan probably talks to you a little bit about some of the recipes that they kids enjoy. But I know both as we see you coming into the recreation center every now and then, it's usually because we're headed down to where they're cooking, because the smell permeates right down the hallway. Like, oh, that smells pretty good today. What are they doing? So that's always a good thing.
Because I was there last week. I saw Megan and the kids are all active. You don't have sentimental, obese children there. They're all active, and they all look forward to go to cooking.
They do. They really do enjoy it. They always ask, "What are we cooking next? What are we gonna do next week, Megan?" And I always tell them, like, you have to wait, and I'll tell you at the end of the week when it comes to.
And I think about it, right?
Yeah, I have to think about the recipe before we do it. So.
We do work with Keene State College and dietetic interns, which is just another avenue. Keene State College is such a great resource for us in this community, and having those kids being able to get practicum hours with us and have fun with a program like this it's a great experience. It's a win-win for everybody.
So when you're talking about the cooking program, who gets involved with the cooking program as far as the kids?
All the kids go and take part in the cooking aspect. Like Andy said, we have practicum students there who are leading the cooking activities. They're the ones that really set everything up for us and make sure that it goes. So I'm very thankful to them, because if it wasn't for them, I would probably spend a little bit more time down in the kitchen. So all the kids really enjoy it, and it's all hands-on for them. So.
And you're helping the kids taste things that they may have thought were yuck or were never even given the time of day, and they go, "Wow, this looks yucky, smells yucky, but this is good."
Yeah, we have seen that with squash, and last week we worked with spinach, and a lot of the kids were just like, "Wow," like they never thought of eating it before, and now they absolutely loved it. And I thought the recipe was great too. So there's different things that we're trying to bring in outside of the usual 6 vegetables that Early Sprouts does that we're doing. So
and what other new programs your idea on the soccer.
Yes.
You're getting rid of those crappy, boring soccer shirts that always end up as a dish rag or something later on. But those soccer uniforms you had this year, I think they were a hit.
Yeah, we got a lot of compliments on them through our surveys or just parents telling us verbally out at the fields. They really brought the level up a little bit more, and they were great watching the kids wear them. on the field, but even now seeing them in the
In
schools and
schools.
the schoolyard playing, and me being able to point out the kids of who played in our program by just the jersey. And we did the same thing for basketball this year, that we bought replica jerseys.
So for the people that haven't seen them, can you tell them a little bit what you did with the soccer shirts?
Yep, so this year we went through Xera, which is a soccer company, and for 2-3 they were cities. So we had like Boston and Seattle, which were replica jerseys of the professional soccer
Major
league.
League Soccer League?
Yep. And then 4, 5, and 6, they were countries. So we had Italy and England and Brazil and the USA as well, and replica jerseys of that. So they were really great to see the kids out there, and I think the kids really enjoyed it. So.
One of the things we tried to do this year with our soccer program, based on the feedback that we had the previous year, was we knew that we have a good program, and we were trying to take it to the next level, and getting more kids involved, getting the parents involved, and coming out of that with a quality recreational experience. It may not necessarily be the experience that some are looking for to go to that travel program or to the elite program, but we wanted the kids to enjoy and the parents to enjoy a quality recreational experience. And doing that, we brought in a company called New Hampshire Premier Soccer. They're a lot of English-speaking folks, coaches that they come over. They've played professional soccer over in England through their, whether it be if you equate it to our baseball system, Class A, Class AA, they've all played in that and coached and gone through a lot of different experiences. And we had an individual out there this year working with our players and our coaches and looking to really build upon that. So what they're going to be doing is coming back. We signed a contract with them so they could provide one person this fall, and then we'll do a camp with them during April vacation and a summer program. And during that time frame, we'll be receiving $10 back per child towards our second instructor for next year. So it was kind of a win-win situation for us to build upon our program and get that professional development that we need for our coaches and our players. And I think we saw a big difference in the program. And adding that into the jersey, people really came away saying, oh, this is a great thing. And we do it at Tuesday, during the weeknight, so that parents can have families can have their weekends free, which makes for a long week sometimes, but it's only 5-6 weeks long. And you can kind of say, okay, well, it's only 6 weeks, and would I rather be out there for a couple nights or be out there every Saturday and have to give up my weekend? So
Saturdays and Sundays get important. My Christian plays baseball, and sometimes like 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, and it goes, well, aren't you going to come and see your grandson? It's like, well, I like to have some time off, basically.
but the schedule, because we play on the weekday, does allow for those families who want to be still active in some of the other sports can still do that, whether it be baseball or lacrosse or football, whatever that may be. They have that opportunity.
Okay, back to
So
Megan.
another program that we have started, we don't have a flyer made up for it just yet because we worked on it last Friday. We're doing a teen event. We're doing a lot of programs for high school kids this year, trying to get them to come to the recreation center. And this is a program that I'm working with the youth services for the city, the Keene YMCA, Keene Housing Authority, and the Tobacco Coalition. So we have come together and we are trying to program activities for kids. On November 30th, we're doing a dodgeball event up at the Recreation Center. It's Friday night. Registration, you can pop in at 6 o'clock and we'll start playing at 6:30. If you pre-register, it costs $16, but if you register that day, it costs $20. And all the money goes towards their next event. So it's just trying to build upon it, and come hopefully the first of the year, we'll do bigger programs for the high school kids. So
I think that's so critical because teenage kids from certain families, they have the financial wherewithal and they have no problem. But Keene is a working class community, and there are a lot of families who can't afford a membership to the Y, and they can't do a lot of things, and the kids have nothing to do. They hang either down by the railroad, or they hang downtown, or they just hang around. They would like to do things, but there just isn't anything for them to do.
Yeah, so we're looking to try to do something once every month for them, or we're trying our best to do it once a month, if it's either at the recreation center or out at the YMCA. So,
Megan came to us right as we were wrapping up our master planning process, and one of the things that came out of our the active and passive recreation management plan was to engage more teen programming. And when I became programmer about 8 years ago, there was a network in town that all the groups that Megan had mentioned, and we met on a regular basis. And over time, our jobs changed, and people just kind of went in different directions. We all kind of stayed connected, but we didn't have the time or the energy to put into all of these events. And having somebody come back in, take a look at that, having it called out in our master plan, Megan's been able to bring all of these organizations back together. And consequently, we've had several different events, or tried to have the different events. Sometimes if you build it, they don't always come. But in this particular case, the dodgeball event, we had one team sign up, and we needed a few more. So we said, okay, well, let's try it again. We know that there's interest, and we'll build upon that. And that's what's going to happen in November. And just some of the events that she's shared with me and some of the other committee members outside of their committee meetings, it's got some pretty nice lineups coming forward. So I think it'll be really fun to watch that particular activity line or age group really explode and see what it can do for the city of Keene.
Yeah, because being on the school board is one of the things I've always had a concern about is, you have AAU basketball, you have hockey, but we really, all intents and purposes, we don't have no type of intramural type program for the kids who want to be active but may not be athletically gifted to be at that level. And it's kind of like once they get out of middle school, it's kind of like PE and competition all supposed to stop for them.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about in our last meeting was the possibility of looking and exploring for other partners that could be, they play a particular role in the community as law enforcement. Is there an opportunity to get them involved in some of these programs? And knowing some of the police officers in town, they've shared that idea with us as well. And and many communities have police athletic leagues.
I played them, yeah.
And so I'm not saying that that's the direction that we're going to go, but hopefully we'll be able to involve them in the process. And I know Chief Miola would be open to that concept, and I'm sure support it. So it's one of those things that we just have to continue to explore and see where it goes, and we'll take it from there.
You have your big yellow pumpkin handout for the year?
That will be the last time you see that flyer in that format. We've actually, Megan and I, we put it out, and we saw some flyers from other communities right after this one particular was done. And we actually must have been thinking on the same page that day, because we came around out of our offices and into the hallway at the same time and said, I think we need to change this. And so we've been working with some graphic designers, and that's one of the things that we're looking to change. And I think you'll see some nice changes coming forward. And in recreation, we often call it case management, copy and steal everything.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing from some other communities. And the graphic designers who we've been working with has been great. So looking forward to a whole new brochure moving forward.
You have, let's see, the big wheel race. You're talking, changing that a little bit?
Yeah, Megan, I'll let Megan share her idea regarding that one.
yeah, so the Big Wheel Race, it takes place in the fall time. We're looking to change that up to have it happen at the Peanut Carnival at the end of the summer. So we'll just do trial heats right in the front of the rec center around the roundabout that we have there. And the kids can win prizes, and towards the end, we'll hand out the trophies that we always hand out.
So that peanut share is, you go up and buy a bag of peanuts and use that as money, and kids have a good time and no
Oh,
one
yeah.
loses their money.
Correct. And peanuts are everywhere.
Squirrels love it.
Yes, they do.
And ones like Zumba and Cheshire Walkers.
Yep, Cheshire Walkers has been a program that we've worked with Cheshire Medical Center for many years. They actually facilitate it. They pick about 8 different walks throughout the course of the season, whether it be fall or spring, and they'll let us know where the walks are. The groups meet at the recreation center, I believe at 9 o'clock on Wednesday mornings, and then leave from there as a commuter spot, and they go all around Cheshire County to different hikes, whether it be moderate level or easy, or they'll let you know exactly if you go on their flyer and tell you where it is. So I would imagine in the spring one of the walks will be over the new North Bridge.
Oh, speaking of the North Bridge, being on the council and they're going, oh yeah, we're going to do the North Bridge, it'll be good for shoppers, and I'm going, yeah. Who the heck is going to do that? And going back and forth. Well, Saturday, it's like, okay, my Home Depot bill is due, so got on my bike, went over to North Bridge, went to Home Depot, paid my bill, went shopping at Target, put stuff in the backpack, and went home, and I'm going, yep, I guess they were right. And I'm saying, I didn't have to use my car. I didn't have to go down to Winchester Street or go up 9 and run that risk. And I'm saying, wow, this was really easy, and it only took me 15 minutes. I live behind the post office to get to Home Depot and back because of the North Bridge.
It works both ways, because you have the folks downtown, if they're looking to get out into the Monadnock Marketplace, they can certainly travel the North Bridge, and the folks in West Keene looking to get to downtown can take the North Bridge, and it's a win-win for everybody. I think it's a wonderful asset to the city of Keene, and certainly embodies Vision 2020, and I think it's going to serve this community for a long time. And once that trail is completed all the way out to Wickham Mill Road, that's going to be a wonderful asset for the city of Keene.
Because I had no idea that once you got off the North Bridge and went down a little bit, there was a road right into Monadnock Marketplace.
Yeah.
It's a paved road right into it.
Yeah, it's just an emergency access road to the back, and I think they built it just for the bridge. No, I'm only kidding.
And I would say the only thing that needs to go out there, Target has it, some of those other businesses need to put bike racks out there.
I would highly encourage those folks to put some bike racks in front of their stores because more and more people are going to be using that bridge to get there, and probably we could say the same for downtown.
Yeah. And Zumba seems to be the craze, but people want to do it, but they don't want to join the Y or Ladies of America or whatever. So
Yeah, we do. We have 2 different types of Zumba. On Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:30 to 11:30, we have something called Zumba Gold, which is kind of tailored toward older people or people who haven't done Zumba before but want to
you
give
got to
it
be careful when you say older people.
Senior population.
senior population. And so that is with Pam, and it's a really fun class. She has about 15 to 20 people that go into the gym on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then starting soon, Zumba with Marissa is actually next week. We're doing Monday nights from 5:30 to 6:30, and then Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30. And that happens in our multi-purpose room or our gym.
How much does it cost to take part of it?
For Zumba with Marissa, it's $5 every time you go, or you can buy a punch card, and I believe it's $40 for a handful of sessions, but you would have to contact Marissa if you show up to an event, and she can tell you right then and there.
And of course, one of the things you always have is upcoming trips.
We do have a few trips coming up. I know this coming Saturday we have Quincy Market going down to Boston area, and it drops you off. I believe it leaves the recreation center at 8 a.m. and leaves Faneuil Hall at 5 p.m. So you have a full day down there. So you'll get down there about 10:30. And it will be a nice day. They're starting to see the Christmas. I was actually down there yesterday, and you're starting to see the Christmas decorations get put up, and kind of a nice way to get you ready for the holiday season.
And for
then
$21, you can't beat that.
$21 covers the
Yes.
cost of the coach bus, and lunch is on your own. But when you're going into Faneuil Hall and you have over 150 stores and restaurants, you don't really need to bring your lunch, and it's just a nice area. If you've never been down, there's so much to do. You have Faneuil Hall, which is obviously the historical shopping center. It's one of the landmarks in Boston. You have the Holocaust Memorial right beside there, which is absolutely beautiful, and you get the waterfront, the Science Center. So many things to do in Boston that this trip kind of dropped you off. If you really wanted to see a show during that time frame, you could probably go over, get tickets, and see a show during the matinee. And it's a great way to see Boston at a very affordable price.
True, if I wanted to talk about the Science Center or the Kids Museum, I'd take a couple, that took my 2 grandkids, that cost me $60, but when I look at the hassle and the cost of gas and everything, it's like bingo, someone else does it all and I get to come back.
Yeah, and if you work with the Keene Public Library, I believe there's they either have free or reduced passes that you can get at the public library to go down to the Science Center. And so that helps your cost there. So it's actually, you could look at it as 2 the city departments working together on that particular trip. But they don't have a lot of those passes. They only have very limited. But it's a good way, an affordable way to utilize the resources that we have here in Keene.
And you had this Linsanity moment coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have the Boston Celtics trip coming up right after the first of the year. That's on January 11th. So again, we have the bus going down, so you don't have to worry about driving into Boston to go watch the Celtics play, and they're playing the Houston Rockets.
You don't have to pay $25, $30 to park your car?
Correct. Or worry about snow and not being able to go. So.
And the one in New York,
The,
you get the trip to New York. Is it New York?
Les
Oh no, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
a Broadway show in
Bro-
Worcester.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
I'm
doing the
tricking
late
you.
Miss trip.
Halfway
Yeah.
there.
So that's happening in April. That's an April 6th trip, and that's the Broadway show that we're doing down at the Hanover Theater in Worcester,
Yeah.
Mass. So.
And we're constantly, you mentioned New York, and we kind of laugh, but one of the other rec departments in the Southwest District, they do a regular New York trip, and we're going to start to offer that come the spring. We're going to look into the cost and see. We had always thought about it, and one of the things is, well, you're on the bus for 4 hours, and a total of 8 hours during the course of the day, but they do very well with that trip, and so we're going to investigate and see if people are out there and they say, oh, that sounds interesting, let us know, because we'll pursue it even further. But I think it would be a win-win situation for people will be able to get dropped off. It won't be as inexpensive as Boston, obviously, because it's twice as far, but still, you wouldn't be able to pay for the gas to get down there and the parking and do all of that sort of thing. And you can, if you choose to shop, you can put the stuff on the bottom of the bus with the way back, or experience the big city. And
I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
yeah.
And I would like to go to the museum where they had the night at the museum.
Oh yeah.
But it cost me $36 to park. It cost me $12 to get over the bridge. It cost me another $12 to get onto the island, and $6 to get off. And so now all of a sudden, that's $80, and all the hassle of driving and all that other kind of stuff. So all of a sudden, if I still want to take my kids down there, my grandkids down there, even at $150 or $200, when you're looking at all the hassle, and all of a sudden, because people forget, it's not like Keene where you can go pay $2 and park all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the nice thing about the trips that we're looking at is they drop you off in certain locations, and if you want to get picked up at a certain time and brought over to the other side of town, they'll do that for you, and that's certainly a benefit. And I think Boston's a nice walking city, as is New York, but it's a lot bigger. And there's the opportunity for you, like you said, if you want to see the museums or the art galleries or a show, Times Square, Statue of Liberty. There's all those places. But you can do it at a very affordable rate. And I think that's one of the things that we're looking at, trying to provide those opportunities for everybody.
And I see you have a list. There's a number of things that we haven't covered that you want to cover.
Well, just the City of Keene is now an organizational champion for Vision 2020. Went through your committee 2 weeks ago
Yep.
for that, and I think that's a great possibility for the City of Keene. We're already doing many things for our employee base that embodies what Vision 2020 is. We have a health fair. We got insurance for health insurance and dental insurance for our employees. So we certainly embody what Vision 2020 already is, and now we've joined a label and put what we do, and hopefully we'll be able to achieve it with them. So we just continue to move forward on that endeavor.
Because I think people that are starting to pay more and more attention is if you want to control healthcare costs, it's preventative, preventative, preventative.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I've been to many seminars on that, and, certainly what we do with the Catch program hopefully gets kids on track of realizing the benefits of physical activity and eating well, and they can carry that on through the rest of their life and say, oh, maybe they learned it at the Parks and Recreation Center, and keep their healthcare costs reduced when they become an adult. But some of the other things that we are working on is hopefully we'll be able to pay by credit card fairly soon with on the different programs. We're working with the finance department on that and getting closer and closer. It's been something that we've been working on for quite a while, but once we have that ability, people will be able to register for basketball or soccer, the playground programs, and whatever it may be. It's definitely going to be a benefit to the citizens of Keene to realize that they can just go online, register at 9 o'clock at night after our office is closed and say, oop, I beat the deadline. So don't have to put that stress upon getting to the recreation center. So we're working with them, and we're getting closer, and we're hopefully very soon. So I'm pleased about that. So we covered everything else that's on the list. So we do have the youth basketball signups that are coming up December 4th. Will be the basketball registration, and that fee's $45 for residents and $60 for non-residents.
And one of the things that didn't cover, but it seems to be important, is youth activity nights.
Yes, we do youth activity nights, which is, some kids call it the dances. They nonprofit organizations host them. They come up to the rec center. Usually it's the first and third Friday of the month, unless it might be switched up due to if there's programs going on in the rec center. So that schedule has been out, and we just had one last weekend, and it seemed like it was, the kids had fun, and we usually get a good turnout. Usually about 200 kids come to the rec center on Friday nights for between 7 and 9.
And so November 2nd was hosted by the Keene High School Girls Softball Booster Club. Mm-hmm. And admission for the whole season is only $5?
Yeah, it's $5 a kid, and all that money goes towards the nonprofit organization that's hosting.
So we work with all the youth non-profit organizations as far as sports related. So the Cal Ripken Leagues, the Youth Lacrosse, the Keene Knights, the Allison Barton Leagues. Those, all the youth nonprofits that provide recreational activities for the youth in town. And and all of those particular groups get 2 dances to help really fund their program, because they're all nonprofit, and they're get the youngsters involved. And then if we have leftover dances, we have some of the high school booster teams come in that have worked with us in the past. And there is a waiting list for the different groups, because obviously we only have 19 dances. 2 of those dances are for the recreation center. We do the first dance and the last dance of the season, and we do it for our scholarship program. So We have a lot of kids that attend playground program in the summertime that may not necessarily be able to afford the whole season. So these dances help offset those costs for those individuals.
And it's for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Yes.
And it says pizza, candy, soda, and water will be sold at each event. Child should present their school ID during activity night, and middle school dress codes are in force.
That's,
Yes.
Yes.
So if mom or dad drops off one of their children and they don't not meeting the code, they got to come back and pick them up.
Well, sometimes that occurs. Megan has, all those T-shirts that you were talking about earlier, the
Yeah.
ones that we don't necessarily are able to. We might have overbought, or a team only needed 10 and we had 2 left over. Well, if their son or daughter comes in with an inappropriate shirt, they're
Megan's gotta
usually Megan provides them with a Parks and Recreation youth soccer T-shirt, and it's usually the color that nobody wanted, so they stand out for the night.
Is this a new one, the co-ed indoor soccer?
We've had, actually when Megan was an intern, she started that program, and it's done very well, and we open it up on Wednesday nights. There's an open gym night for indoor soccer, and it does very well. Some of the nice things that we've started to see is we're getting back to, Megan's been working with different volleyball leagues and connections and getting volleyball back up at the recreation
Which
center.
Been
So-
going very well this year.
The adult co-ed, no, let's see, the adult co-ed volleyball.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's on Monday nights, and that from 7 to 9 right in our gym, and it goes very well. It's very popular right now. So
Not overly aggressive, competitive people, ones that just here to have fun.
how they split it up, they split one nets for the advanced people, and the other nets for the people, for the recreational, come and have fun type of play.
The one that we rarely ever talk about, Project Share.
Which is downstairs at the recreation center, and they're open year-round. They do close come December. They take a lot of the donations, all the funding that they sell all their clothes and different articles during the course of the year, and it goes back towards the community, providing families with presents for the children. And that list, I believe they start taking it over the course of the year, and it's getting close to time for them to close their doors and focus on Christmas, which is, it's kind of hard to believe we're already talking about that.
All you have to do
But-
is go to the store and listen to the music.
Yeah, I know, which is kind of scary, but they are downstairs at the recreation center in the back of the building, and every time I'm in and out going to a different meeting or visiting a park or a program, there's always somebody going downstairs into that. It's a very popular consignment store, and they do a nice job, and we're very thankful that they're a part of our community.
And talking about the park, quote unquote, we have kind of a new park, not the butterfly park, but
The North Central Park up on North Carroll and Spruce Streets, it had always been city land, and Councilor Terry Clark had brought that forward and wanted it designated as a park so it could be taken off the property list and always be considered a park, and we were able to go through that process thanks to him and the North Central Neighborhood Group, who was a huge advocate for that, and they wanted to name it, and they named it North Central Park. We had a dedication ceremony 2 weeks ago, and had a little ribbon cutting ceremony. We planted an elm tree, and I think it's going to be just a nice green space. What we've done, we're still in the progress of making it a nicer park, but what we've done down in the corner of Spruce and Carroll Street had always been really maintained. That was the nicer part of it's only 3.5 acres. And at one point in time, Monadnock Aid Services had a little park there, and they had moved that. And at one time, it was also going to be a nature walk for the elementary outdoor learning lab, if you will. And that project really never got off the ground. So the sign was still there. We removed that. We removed the benches that were inside of the green space, if you will. And the neighborhood is every spring. They do a lot of cleanup, and a few years ago they pulled mattresses out of there and a lot of things that were unwanted in the neighborhood. And we've really maintained that as much as we can. And The debris that we pull out of there now is average for what you typically see in a park. We've opened it up, we've cut some trails in it, and hopefully the neighborhood will begin to use it. I know we've gotten a lot of positive feedback there, and it's one of those things right now you may look at it and say, what are they quite doing? It doesn't look that maintained, but we cut it during a part where it will regrow in the spring, and once we continue to mow it, it will look very nice. And we've cut the edges back so the neighborhood can walk in there with their pets and feel free. So I think it'll be a nice addition to the city of Keene and that neighborhood especially.
I didn't, and a lot of other people didn't know until about 18 months ago that it was actually city property or was going to be a park, until we had an individual who wanted to come and buy the land from the city and build houses there.
Yeah, it's really not suitable to build houses.
Yeah.
It's a peat bog, so
Yeah.
it's very wet in there, and you certainly wouldn't want to build on it.
And
That's
plus,
for sure.
they've had flood problems there and everything, and that's been a good wetland kind of drain off to protect the area.
Absolutely, and it provides a nice area. They originally wanted to call it Butterfly Park because
Yeah.
there was a natural resource inventory completed by Antioch for that particular property, and found that there were over 12 different butterflies that inhabited the area, and so that's where the name came from. But I think it's more suitable down on Marlborough Street. They have a beautiful park down there, and we have a beautiful park, and I think everybody's happy.
And plus, it's close to the rec center, so later on in the summer or the spring, you can actually take the kids on a nature walk right around the corner.
Our hope is that the schools, Fuller and Franklin, and the Surrey Charter School will utilize that as for outdoor learning lab.
And so, getting winter, are there going to be any winter events at Wheelock Park?
We will have the skating, and I know that the different youth organizations sometimes have an open skate. I know Megan's looking, she's created the Winter Adventure program, so she'll be taking some skating out there. And it's one of those things that it certainly could be done. I think the nature of our winter and all the different things that we do, we haven't looked to do a bonfire or any of that sort of thing out there. And it certainly could be done. I think there's some groups out there that may have some interest, but it kind of sits quiet for when the Special Olympics practice their cross-country skiing and snowshoeing in Wheelock Park, which is a nice addition. It's a nice area for them to practice before they go to their winter games. So there's some activity that happens there, just not all programmed.
Yeah. How did the campground go this year?
We had a very successful year at the campground. We were full, probably more so in July is usually a downtime. This year we found it to be used on a regular basis. We had a couple people stay in for their term period. There was a choral group that happened to something happened to their RV, and they stayed there for a little bit longer than anticipated and provided concerts for the people who were staying there, which kind of made it nice. There were the Horseshoe Club always has a sellout. We stayed open 2 weekends longer than we usually do because of the different events that were happening in Wheelock Park, which obviously helps our revenue for that particular. But we had a softball tournament that was a little bit later. They held the event in Wheelock Park because they typically were up in Chester, Vermont, but when Hurricane Irene came through, it devastated their fields, and they moved the tournament to Wheelock. I don't want to see them go because of what it provides Keene, but I'm very pleased to say that they're going to be going back up to Chester, Vermont next fall because they have their fields back in order. So that's a good thing for Vermont and the towns in in that area, that they've been able to rebuild and come back from Irene, which provided a lot of devastation. So,
While we have you here, we're going to switch to the other part of the city and talk about a couple of things at Robin Hood.
yeah.
The amphitheater, the stone wall, and the dam reconstruction.
Sure. The amphitheater, where Amer Electric came in over the course of the summertime and provided new electric outlets as part of that budget summary and of the different projects that Home Depot got involved with. So it was nice to have Amer come in, provide that electricity that was certainly needed. We added outlets. We increased the light on top, changed out the bulbs to make them more energy efficient, and made it a brighter area. And we have the stone walls are part of a CIP project, but the dam is scheduled to be started in late April, and so with that and we'll have a beautification project up there, which is all going to fit in very nicely. I think Robin Hood. Going for a walk with another department head on Friday through our park system, and I do it on a regular basis, but sometimes walking through, it's such a jewel, Robin Hood is, and if you go back to when George Wheelock created it back in the 1800s, there were 300-400 people who would visit Robin Hood Park on a weekend, and now you're lucky if you see 20 to 50 people. And how do you rebuild that? How do you get people interested in coming back to Robin Hood Park and create maybe that amphitheater is that piece of our parkland that we can do that with, and getting people up there and providing performances and concerts and movies and that type of thing. And we do have a plan for that up at the recreation center as well, but making Robin Hood one of our cultural parks and providing that landmark that everybody's so familiar with, and the people on that side of town really relate to improving the trails up there. And there's such a network of trails at Robin Hood Park that it's a beautiful area. It's really a resource.
I see a lot of people go up to Robin Hood Park, but they sit in their cars all the time. It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's kind of like going to the drive-in and pointing your car the other way so you can't watch the movie. You would think you're right up there, and it's kind of like, if you're going to, why sit in the car and talk? Get out and walk on the trail and talk while you're walking the trail. That one loop around is not that long at all.
It's not that long, and it's a nice. You can do it in 20 minutes if you're, walk at a pretty good pace. 30 minutes, depend on how you walk. But you're right, it's a perfect little loop. It gets a little narrow on the backside, but heading down, it's a nice wide trail. If you don't want to go that, you could go up to Sunset Rock. You could go up to the boulders. And the trails networks are pretty easily defined. They may not have signs, but the paths are very wide, old logging roads, and it's a beautiful park. And there's a lot of acreage up there that a lot of people aren't familiar with, and you could actually walk from Robin Hood all the way down to North Lincoln Street over to the Woodland Northeast Division Cemetery. So it is quite a big park.
That used to be the Keene State College cross-country track.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we never lost it, especially when you go to help. We always have one of the slow guys speed out and get in front of their good guys, and because only one person at a time could go up to the hill, and we used to call it Vomit Ridge. And I've asked you all the easy stuff, and I'll ask you one of the things that people complain about. When are you going to fix up that bathroom down at Robin Hood Park?
Well, that was one of the questions that we were working on. Realizing that the bathrooms at all of our park facilities, were built in the early 60s, and we've, tried to maintain them. Oh, there's not a lot you can do with cinder block and try to keep a public facility, and something that we maintain. We have our playground program there, and we recognize that. We try to keep it as clean as we possibly can. And unfortunately, because we do keep it open, the public goes in and sometimes graffiti or makes a mess, and that we have to clean up or we find the next day, and it makes it a little bit of a burdensome. But if it was maintained like we do during the course of the summer, people may not find it as offensive. But it is one of those facilities that it's just old. It's tired, and putting a new facility in. Would we have the same vandalism? I hope not. People may respect it. People may use it more. But you know, I look at Wheelock Park, and those aren't that old, and they've obviously shown they're worn already. And bathrooms are something that people care about a lot, and they use, and we try to maintain it the best we can.
And we're running out of time, but before I call it quits for the day, I just want to say how great a job you and the people with the support of PC Connection did on the Children's Parade for the Pumpkin Fest. It was great. It's always the highlight of the Pumpkin Fest. So I just want to say thank you. And so for everyone else, if you have questions, you can go on the Parksite's website or Facebook and get answers. Megan will give you answers, Andy will give you answers, and I will see you out there on the long road. And guess what? There'll be no more politics next time.
Yoo-hoo!